More demos? Cool. I'll go. I've been working in the Viz stuff for a couple weeks now. So mostly doing behind the scenes refactoring stuff that customers will hopefully never see. Um, but also along the way fixing some bugs. So I'll just go through a couple of them. So there is this one fun bug. For those who are newer, the way we manage dates in our front end has like long been a little bit of a disruptive practice, and we've finally started standardize things and stabilize stuff. But there was one last one that we encountered in the last week around raw dates not translating between the table and the chart. So now these dates should totally match, which they do. Previously, they would be off by a couple of hours because the dates in the viz would shift to your local time zone, and now they don't. Um, there's another fun one that I fixed. It sort of falls into this bucket of things around like when you configure a viz, at times it can sort of drop settings. So there's like a small issue where if you change the color on something and then started to drag and then realized like, oops, I didn't mean to drag that one and let it go, it'd revert to the standard color, and now it doesn't. But you can see if I like, oh, actually, I'm wrong. It does stay the same here. If I like remove it and put it back, it'll probably revert. There we go. So that's still ongoing work that I'm playing around with. Um, Another fun one. I released this behind a feature flag, but technically it's been out for a couple weeks, at least behind the flag. You can create box plots now, and box plots really work best with like dimensional values that are numeric, obviously. You can kind of squeeze in a measure here if you really want to. Um, but it often doesn't produce exactly what you'd expect. And then another fun thing is you can split these by whoa, what's going on here? Oh, weird. It double mapped retail price. So this is why it's still behind a flag. But if I map category to X, you can see it splits it out by the category. That was fun. Required actually fixing some core behavior in Vega Lite itself. And that's now all merged in upstream in Vega Lite. So that's cool. I had two more demos. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember what they are. Okay, so let's talk about this other slew of issues. So we often get this feedback about like people start configuring charts and then make a change and lose everything. And it's kind of subtle, but I'll try to give a demo of how this happens. So right now I'm on Playgrounds. And if you do something like graph two measures against a dimension, and then you like change a color, uh, and then you change a chart type, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so it like dropped the color mapping. It also moved these fields to like different axes. So it sort of reconfigured everything. And technically you should be able to click back, and sometimes that works. Like in this case, it worked. But the general feedback is that can be a frustrating experience. So this I've been working on a couple changes recently. I'll try to come up with a similar chart. Well, this is a little bit weird. Hopefully it's visible, but there's technically two measures plotted against this dimension gender. And you can see I can color them here. And so now when I switch charts, those colors are preserved. So that's pretty sweet. Another thing that, so going back to Playground really quickly, another thing that we see happen pretty frequently is, you know, someone will configure something, they might set up some colors, they might like split these two dimensions to be against these two different axes, or sorry, two measures against these two different axes. And then they'll add a field. And so if I add state here, all of a sudden the whole thing, everything's lost, and we get a completely different chart type. So now I want to pause for a moment and say, this is kind of where we get into the territory of subjectivity, where there's a strong argument that this is like actually the best state for this chart. But what I've been playing around with is a subtle change where if you've manually configured things, we try to prioritize those configurations up front. So notice I've set some colors, I've moved these two measures to the right axis. If I add a new dimension, the demo gods are with me, nothing should change. Whoops. Demo gods are not with me in this case. Let me try it again. Maybe I've gotten into a weird state. Okay. All right, so boom, boom. Swear this worked this morning. Right, so set some colors, do some magic. And then, oh, you know what it was? I think if I add another measure, so yeah, so it preserves everything there. Let's try this dimension again. This was working this morning, but maybe I switched my branch and forgot. Nope. Nope. Looks like it is mapping state to color. Oh, actually, it is, I'm sorry, I've forgotten my actual demo here. It is actually doing the thing we'd expect. So what it's done now is instead of dropping all of these measures, it's preserved them. And it's added this dimension to the color property. And so, yeah, I guess like there's definitely some work to be done here to iron this out. But the general change in the algorithm is preserve any manually set properties. So anything that the user has configured explicitly, try to preserve that as much as possible. And then for any other aesthetics or encoding channels like color that the Viz supports, try to slot in the new field there. So that's what's happening here instead of dropping all these measures. So if I remove state, in theory, it should go back to, oh, that's the bug. So states right now, fields aren't being removed in my new algorithm, but you can see like when you drop state, the colors are preserved. So this workflow, I literally got working last night. So still very much like alpha and has a bunch of hilarious bugs that need to be ironed out. Like a real fun one is, I think if I rotate the chart, things can get like plotted incorrectly. Yeah, like that. So obviously still some work to do here, but directionally, this is something I'm playing around with to see if it feels better than, you know, like here if we like add new dimensions, things just get completely removed, regardless of whether or not you've added them manually and explicitly configured them.
This is awesome, Nate.
So, yeah.
The one thing
Like,
that I think comes up a lot, it's kind of hard with our UX, is like you want to swap a field and not really change a lot. Like, but in order to swap it, you have to like move one thing in and move a thing out. And so you just like have these multiple opportunities for things to potentially get rejiggled where you don't want to. Maybe we can also think about a UX to like from maybe the field or something to switch the field or some other way to make swapping easier could probably alleviate a handful of those issues too, where you're like, I just need to move some things in so that I can move other things out. Might be fun to play with too.
totally. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is, in theory, if this works, um, I can change the colors here, and then I can like completely remove gender. And I can, add a different dimension. And so like all the colors stay static. So for these small changes like swapping a field, the config is much better at preserving itself now.